Hello, everybody. Happy Friday afternoon. My name is Rebecca. I'm on the MicroCAD marketing team, and today's webinar is going to be all about Autodesk Docs, which is now included in the AEC collection. If you have any questions during this presentation, please go ahead and throw them in the questions box, which should be on your right side, wherever you have things positioned. You can throw that in there and we will go ahead and answer them at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and send this right over to Phil Marshall, who will talk about Autodesk Docs today.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to listen to us. We're talking today about Autodesk's new cloud-based service called Autodesk Docs, and we're going to be talking about what it is, what it does, how it fits into your workflow, and how it can help you be more productive in your projects. So I'm going to go into my PowerPoint, and to give myself more room, I'm going to stop my webcam, if you don't mind, just to get more screen space. Alrighty, so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the Autodesk Docs tool. We present in a series of these seminars and webinars to present software tools to streamline your process and enable your designers to work faster, better, and more predictable results and schedules. And with over 30 years of experience, MicroCAD, minority-owned business, empowers design professionals in the AEC and manufacturing industries to increase their productivity and meet project goals. We pride ourselves on working with clients through every stage of the design process to assess needs and provide tailored and effective solutions. Today, we're focusing on the one cloud-based product from Autodesk that uses the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform to share data. This webinar is intended to give you an understanding of what Autodesk Docs is and how it fits into the overall workflow. But a 25-minute webinar is not intended to replace detailed training and hands-on experience, but I hope I'll give you an idea of what it is, how it works, and then we can go into more detail as you move down the line in your travels. One other point I'll make about cloud services, the excitement of cloud services is that they can be updated and extended continuously. So this webinar covers the capabilities of Autodesk Docs as they exist today. But next week, there may be brand new functionality. We will repeat these webinars as the cloud products and services change in the future, and we'll expand them, of course, to show the new functionality and the new tools. Remember, this is not Autodesk's first foray into cloud services. Since 2014, they have offered cloud-based data sharing systems for AEC. With BIM dominating the workflow, the first focus was on the design data. Building models were getting heavier and the ancillary data was becoming more digital. Autodesk recognized that the volume and type of data was quickly expanding with the uses of BIM data, as was the number of partners that work on the project at different times and for different durations. More and more niche players were participating in the workflow, contributing their design expertise, and then leaving the project. The cloud-based data sharing tools in Autodesk BIM 360 were necessary to meet client needs for secure, productive design collaboration. BIM 360 works well in the data-heavy, high-interaction design process, and usage was steadily increasing. Then COVID hit. Usage of remote access skyrocketed as designers and engineers worked from home. Autodesk responded with promotions to help those users remain productive by using BIM 360. It seemed that everybody was using BIM 360 to share design data. But Autodesk always had a vision of connecting all the people on a project. Design users needed to have their tools talk to each other, and construction users had to have up-to-date information to work effectively. Building owners, construction managers, owners reps, all needed to stay current. Autodesk has had for a number of years a strong set of solutions for construction called the Autodesk Construction Cloud. This provided tools for the post-design end of the project. Now Autodesk has connected all the members of the team on a common data environment, a unified platform. Data can be shared seamlessly from conceptual design through construction to operation of the facility as a digital twin. And all the stakeholders can access information from anywhere on any device. The key feature of these products is the ability to use the unified platform within Autodesk Construction Cloud. Currently, BIM 360 Docs and BIM 360 Design operate within the BIM 360 platform. The new products are able to work both with the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform, but also give users access to the BIM 360, the legacy BIM 360 environment. These are the 5 new products Autodesk announced at Autodesk University back last November, all connected with the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Today, we're focusing in on the core tool, Autodesk Docs. The others will be discussed in detail in upcoming webinars. Keep an eye out for the invites from us. So let's get into details of these new products. Remember, we were focusing on the design products here. The other 2 were tools for the construction field. Autodesk Docs is intended for all project team members. It gives them access to the data stored in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Autodesk BIM Collaborate is aimed at project managers and other supervisory personnel who need to keep track of what is happening within the project. It allows them to see what design packages have been released, who is working on the packages, what issues are outstanding, and what documents are in review. It also has design coordination tools to check for physical interferences in the models. Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro gives authors of all of these capabilities, plus the ability to access cloud data directly from their authoring tool, whether it's Revit or Plant 3D or Civil 3D. Autodesk Docs, what we're focusing on today, is a document management product for all partners in the project. It gives you controlled access to the data with built-in version control to ensure users see the most recent data. With markup tools and issue management, it is a great collaboration tool for all stages of the project, design through construction through commissioning. It will save time by making the right data available easily and save money by avoiding mistakes. The interface for Autodesk Docs is fairly intuitive. Files are organized by projects and folders within projects. For models, both a 3D representation and a set of drawings are available. The model is intelligent, so you can query the properties of an object in the model. Issues can be created and managed. Documents can be put into electronic review process. Transmittals can be built with an audit trail so you can see what's been done. So let's see what Autodesk Docs looks like for the user. Data is organized by project. You can have any number of projects. So here, for example, I could look at the projects that we could be working on. And you can see it could be a very long list. It wouldn't be unusual for people to have a long list of projects you're working on. So they provide a quick search capability. So if I wanted to search for a Docs project called Docs Example, it can find it and have that list very quickly. Within the project, there is a folder structure to organize the documents. The folder project files holds the BIM models and associated files, while the for the field folder holds the published construction documentation. The project files tends to be the work in process. This is where the authors are actually making the changes and updating their designs. The field documents tend to be the static documents. These are release documents, issued packages, and reference documents that people can use in the field. The field folders are optimized for display on tablets and phones. So the mobile devices, it's really optimized to see these kinds of documents. These files are optimized to be used by the authoring tools. So whether it's Revit or AutoCAD or Civil 3D or Plant 3D, these files are optimized to be used by the authoring tools. The folders do have some intelligence. For example, Design Collaboration uses the project file folders for Revit work shared projects. When you form teams for the project, you can set the user's default work location, so all of their work is automatically saved in that location. So for example, for the team that's doing the MEP work on the project, automatically all of their work would be stored in this one folder. Whereas for the fire protection people, their work could be saved in a different folder. So we're using the folders to help to separate the various disciplines. Each folder has controlled access, so we could set permissions by user or by role or by company. So for the fire protection folder, for example, we might assign anybody who has the company Acme Fire Protection could access that folder, but no one else, because after all, you'd want the fire protection people to be doing the design work there and not other people. The levels of permission range from view only to full control. If a user has no permissions to a folder, they can't even see what files are in it. Files that are in use by another application are shown with a lock symbol. So it also indicates who created that lock symbol and when. So that enables to make sure that no one's going to step on another to create a conflict when files are being changed by applications that don't allow work sharing. You could manually lock these files if you want to reserve them for yourself. So if you know this afternoon you go work on a particular project, you could lock that file and prevent other people from accessing it in the meantime. Most of the Autodesk design tools like Revit, Plant 3D, Civil 3D, and AutoCAD can save files directly to the cloud. To add other files from other applications to the project, you could just click on the Upload Files button and drag and drop the file in. For Revit files, Autodesk Docs will automatically create the 2D sheets and extract the sheet name and the sheet number. If you upload a multi-page PDF, Autodesk Docs will automatically create individual pages for the PDF and extract the page name and page number. So there is intelligence on the uploads. Let's look at the content of one of these files. So this is a 3D Revit model that was built, and at the same time, we see there's 23 sheets that are associated with this model. Navigating in either 2D or 3D, you can pan, zoom, and orbit to work with these models. As you can see, it's a fairly quick ability to work with them and see what's going on and visualize these models. To see inside the building, we could use the section tools and cut into the building to see the interior. A lot of times on a complex model, you want to be able to cut away and see what's happening inside. Revit is an object-oriented system, so it makes sense to provide the ability to show object properties. So if you select an object in the model, then it tells us the properties of that object. It shows that it is a round dining room chair. It has a round dining room table. It has chairs associated with it, and you'd see all of the metadata for that object, including things like vendor, model number. If you chose a MEP object like a air handling unit, then it'd also have HVAC information like the CFM, the electrical load, what circuit it's on, and things like that. If we look at a sheet from the same project, you see that we could go from drawing to drawing to drawing, and these are automatically separated for us when we loaded the Revit file. And again, you have pan and zoom capabilities in the drawing. Collaboration means being able to share ideas, so redlining is part of Autodesk Docs. So you could redline and add information. And when you add the redline, it can be shared with just your team. So the architectural team could see these red lines, or you could publish them and make them available to anyone in the project. So there may be some notes and some redlining markups that you want to share with everyone, and there may be some that you want to just have your group, your process within your team to look at. So they could be private or public. Collaboration also includes managing issues. Users can create an issue and assign it for resolution. On this particular project, we see that there are 3 issues outstanding. You can sort and display and filter issues, so you could see only the open issues, or you could say, show me only the issues that are assigned to me, or show me only the design issues. But all of these are listed. Here I'm listing all of the issues. And if I look at this particular issue, we see that it's a issue that was categorized as a building code issue. Whoever created this said that there's some emergency egress hardware was needed. This was assigned to Sheila to resolve and has a target date of March 30th, next week, to resolve. And where that issue is this placement. So if I just click on the placement, it jumps directly to the file and the location of that issue. So you see, here's the issue. This is where we need some emergency egress hardware needed. So there needs to be a crash bar there. It obviously was not on the model the way it was built. So issues are a great way of keeping track with things that you're concerned about, that you want to share with other people. It's easy to create new issues. We just say, I want to create a new issue. And you can see the categorization of what kind of issue includes the entire spectrum from design through coordination, through fabrication, construction, and commissioning. So you could have all kinds of issues in the project and keep track of all of them. At the design stage, you'd be looking at things like interference, so whether there's an existing condition problem, if there's a change in requirements from the owner. When you get to the fabrication and the construction stage, you may have a quality issue or perhaps a safety issue. If you think that there's a safety, an unsafe situation on the job site, you could report that as an issue. So if you're creating a new issue, let's say it's a design issue, and I'll put it on, let's put it on this roof. And the issue is, where's drainage? Because if it rains, I'm not sure from this image what's going to happen to the rain. So where's the drainage on this? And I need to assign this to somebody. So when I assign it, I have a choice of anybody on the project. Right now, it's just myself and Sheila who's on the project, or we could assign it to a role. So maybe this should go to the architect, or maybe it should go to the MEP engineer, or whoever. I'm just going to give it to Sheila because we don't have all of the roles, all the people here. But you see, you could assign it to someone and then give a date. Sheila, let's add it to the things you need to do by next week. Oh no, yeah, let's look at next week, Thursday. So now we have a new issue created, and it's a design issue. Sheila needs to work on it. And if we come back to the issues page and look at the list of issues, then of course we see a new design issue about the roof. Now, Autodesk Docs retains a version history of all the documents that are put into the system. So as you update the files, it will keep track of which versions are here. So here, for example, we see that there are 3 versions of this particular model. It shows what date and time these versions were uploaded and who was responsible for them. Now, one of the big things about BIM and working with shared data like this is how do you know what has changed? So it went from version 2 to version 3, but maybe I don't know what changed, and that's important to me. If I'm the MEP engineer, I need to know what the architects changed to be able to do my work. So let's look at what we can do for compare. If I say compare versions, yes, I want to compare version 3 against version 2. And it takes those 2 models and does a 3D compare of the objects in the model, and then shows me the things that have been changed. So anything that's been deleted or removed would be shown in red. I don't have any of those things. Anything that's added is going to be shown in green, and that's a door. I added a door here. Anything that's been changed is shown in yellow. I've got 2 things that are yellow. One is the wall and the other is a window. Well, the wall is pretty obvious. If I added the door here, the wall has to change to have the rough opening of the door. But why was the window changed? All I have to do is click on that object, the window, and it tells me specifically what the change was. The change in this case was it was moved by 5 feet in the Y direction. Oh, okay, yeah, the window was moved over to make room for the door. That's easy. So this ability to compare 2 different versions is huge to be able to make sure that you can keep up with what has changed and the impact on your particular design. So every discipline is going to get these architectural updates, and obviously you're going to need to know what has changed from one to another. This is a great tool that works with the 3D models, but it works also for 2D models. Let's look at the civil world. And here we have 2 versions of these contours. And if I want to compare versions of these, this is the grading plan. So someone's been working on the grading plan. I can do what's called a side-by-side compare. So instead of overlaying, I'm going to do a side-by-side. Well, what that allows me to do is to move this cursor back and forth. So this is version 1, and this is version 2. So you see they went in and got more data and got more details about what those contours look like for the grading, and added the grading at this end. You can see the profile that they're trying to achieve. They added that grading information with version 2, which was not in version 1. So when you're looking at a drawing, whether it's a true 2D drawing or if it's a 2D representation of a 3D model, you can use this kind of a compare tool, a side-by-side compare tool. Many companies have workflows defined for review and approval of drawings because you want to make sure before documents released to the outside world is okay and has met your quality requirements. So Autodesk Docs allows you to initiate the review process for any document. Let's take this one, for example. No, let's go to the MEP. Yeah, here we go. So I could take this one and submit for review. So there's electronic review processes you could build in Autodesk Docs. In this case, there's a review that was built earlier for project manager review. So I'm going to say, take that file and check for completeness and submit it for review. Now, by submitting to review, what's going to happen is whoever was the assigned reviewer when somebody built the review process, they are going to get an email to say, here's that, there's a review coming up. You have to look at this document and either approve or reject it. And if you approve it, maybe it goes to someone else. If you reject it, it comes back to the initiator to resolve. So by default, the reviewers is me. I guess I'm the only one that can review it. We need more people on this project. And I could notify other members. I say, Sheila, I just want to let you know this is in review. Need quickly. So that's now in the review process, electronic review. And like I said, emails are going to be going out to everyone to let them know what's going on. We could also look at all of the documents that are in a review process. So we have 3 different reviews going on right now. They're all on my shoulders. And there could be different documents for different reasons. But it's all up to the reviewer to move it to the next step. So if I approve it, then it becomes an approved document. Now, I want to briefly show you how you build one of these workflows because there's something really important here. Right now, I have only one that I built. It's the review project manager review workflow. But if I build a new one, I could say I want a review workflow that is 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, all the way up to, I think, 6 steps. And then I could have multiple steps with a whole group of approval. So you could have, if it's 2 people, so the PM has to approve it, and maybe the director has to approve it. Or maybe you could say, I need 2 people from the engineering group and 1 person and the PM to approve it in order to move forward. So you could set up group approvals as well as individual people. So if I take this approach, so it's a 2-step process, then you'd identify who is able to do the first step and how much time should be allowed. And so you could change this to say, this is something that's got to be done right away, so we're going to cut it down to 1 day for this review. And then it goes to the next step, and how long do we want to allow that to happen? And then you also can change the status and control what happens when the document is either approved or rejected. But here's the thing that I wanted to point out, that when you're done with this document review process, any document that's approved, you could also copy to another file system. So you could copy it to another place within the Autodesk Construction Cloud world where people could access it, or it could go to something like a SharePoint directory or some kind of a NAS system that you're working with, or any kind of place on your website. So you could have a place that is only those documents that are reviewed and approved. And that's a great tool to ensure that people don't get to see work in process. They only get to see the final approved documents. So this is a workflow that controls access to unreleased data. So that, I think, is pretty cool. All right, so let's go back and talk some more about sharing, because the review process is making sure you have an approved document for sharing, but how else can you get into sharing? So if we go, if I want to share this file, then obviously everybody who's on the project has access to it if I give them access, but I could also share it with people outside the project. So if I need to send it to the zoning board for some reason, then you could share that document with other people outside the project. And what happens is it sets up an email and sends a link, a URL that links to that document. Now you could do one of 2 things. You could either say there's a static release right now, take a snapshot of this document as it exists right now, and when somebody accesses that link, that is what they get. Or you could say when they click on that link, let them see the most recent version of that document. So that guarantees that they're always going to see the most recent case. Now, sometimes you want to say, this is set in stone, this is a document I want them to see, no matter what changes occur after the fact. Or it could be sometimes you want them to see the most current version. So you got either option here. So that's a pretty powerful way of sharing data either in a static view or in a dynamic view. A more formal sharing approach would be to create transmittals. For all projects, it's important to manage data going to project members. So transmittals are a controlled way to share information. So you can go through and identify the recipients, identify what permissions they need, identify what files are going into the transmittal, and whatever kind of cover sheet information that you need. And when you're done with the transmittal, then you can get to see all of the transmittals and all of the history of the transmittals that have occurred. So you have an audit trail of all of the transmittals. So for legal reasons, you have the ability to go back and see what was sent to whom, when, what release, what version. So you see that the Autodesk Docs interface is pretty user-friendly. It leads you along to make these choices, and it gives you lots and lots of functionality within the tool. So let's go to here. All right, so let's talk about how these products, these new Autodesk products, will affect existing users. If you have an AEC collection subscription, you received in February an entitlement to Autodesk Docs, so you already have that entitlement. This can be used on any project you've been invited to, whether it's on the BIM 360 or the Autodesk Construction Cloud platforms. If you have BIM 360 entitlements, BIM 360 Docs entitlements, you can continue to use them as you have been on BIM 360 projects. If you have BIM 360 design entitlements, then they will have been converted to an Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro subscription. And if you had a BIM 360 coordinate subscription, then you can continue to use it on existing BIM 360 projects until renewal time. Then you can either renew it as Autodesk BIM Collaborate or upgrade it to Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. So you've got a good process to move forward with all of these tools. Although BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs contain much of the same functionality, there are some significant differences. The key thing is that Autodesk Docs can access the Autodesk Construction Cloud. BIM 360 Docs can't. This means if you're using any of the Autodesk tools that work on the Autodesk Construction Cloud, like Build or Assemble or Pipe, then you will need the Autodesk Docs to collaborate with everybody on the project. Autodesk Docs can access projects running on the BIM 360 platform. So with Autodesk Docs, you could go to projects on either platform. What else is significantly different with Autodesk Docs is it allows bring your own subscription. This means that each organization's Autodesk Docs subscriptions can be used on anyone's projects once you're invited. This is a more flexible way of getting entitlements to you. If you remember BIM 360 Docs, because that works differently. For BIM 360 Docs, whoever owned the data had to provide the BIM 360 Docs entitlements. Autodesk Docs is included in the AEC collection. This means that every Revit or AutoCAD user who has the AEC collection has access to cloud data sharing. Autodesk wants all of the software users to be able to work with cloud data. Autodesk Docs is not available outside of the collection. As I said, the new products can work with either the BIM 360 or the Autodesk Construction Cloud. The account management module is a single place to see both kinds of projects for your account. You have all project management tools for either kind of project. If you have existing projects on the BIM 360 platform, we strongly recommend you stay on that platform. At this time, there's no migration tool from BIM 360 to the Autodesk Construction Cloud platforms. If you're starting a new project, you could use either platform. The choice would be affected by how many of the Autodesk Construction Cloud tools you are now using. Both BIM 360 Docs and Autodesk Docs have a roadmap for development going into the future and will continue to be updated. Autodesk will support projects on both platforms into the foreseeable future. So how do you get started? Existing users have already started. Autodesk has updated your entitlements automatically, and the cloud software has been updated with minor formatting changes intended to make the interaction more intuitive. The interface is the same. New users get hubs in the cloud either on the BIM 360 or the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. New projects could be created on either platform. Now, to get the most out of your collaborative environment, MicroCAD can provide training and handholding to enhance your use of the software to follow industry best practices and maximize your benefits. Before I catch up with the questions, let me mention that MicroCAD will repeat these webinars. We'll have many more webinars that we're going to be running. So take this opportunity and tell us what topics you would be most interested in by entering them into the question box. We really want to address your needs. Okay, so let's go on to the questions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Phil. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in right now. Or if there are any topics, like Phil mentioned, any topics you're interested in seeing, you can also mention that in the questions box or in the chat as well. So we'll give you guys a couple seconds to type those questions in. All right, so, oops, sorry, one second. All right, so I am seeing a question coming into me. What's going to happen to BIM 360 docs?
Yeah, that's a good question. The answer is that nothing's going to happen to BIM 360 docs. There is a roadmap for enhancements. Autodesk will continue to make that better and more user interface, but it will stay on the BIM 360 platform. So what that means is if you're using the construction-oriented tools, assembly, build, plan, cost, pipe, those particular tools, then BIM 360 Docs isn't where you need to be. You need to be with Autodesk Docs. Over time, I think you're going to see that Autodesk Docs is going to have more and more construction-oriented tools built in, and those will not be added to BIM 360 Docs. So Autodesk will continue to support BIM 360 and BIM 360 Docs. After all, if you've started the project now, you may not be done for 5-6 years, so Autodesk will continue to support it. So I see BIM 360 Docs continuing and far into the future.
Okay, perfect. We do have another one here. Is a super fast workstation required to view online BIM models?
Thank you for asking that question. The answer is, well, maybe. You absolutely don't need to have a super fast compute card, because that is what you're really accessing is through a browser, and all of the heavy duty calculations are being done in the cloud for you. Having a moderately powerful graphics card is useful to doing those 3D rotations and the manipulation. That certainly is useful, but it's not necessary. You could use it on relatively low-end machines. Remember also that we've optimized the display on portable devices like tablets and phones. So there's lots of tablets you could have that you could use, and the tablets don't have to be high-end tablets. There's a variety of tablets that are supported. If you go to Autodesk.com, then they'll tell you the hardware requirements.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Another one is, we're new to this, so what kind of training would my users need?
Well, as you saw, the interface is pretty intuitive, so you don't need heavy-duty training, but we do recommend that you work with someone with experience like us to help you understand the best practice for setting up and configuring the system. So the end use, you don't need a lot of training on that, maybe a couple of hours of hand-holding, but setting up and organizing your data to make it most effective, especially if you're doing design collaboration and you're worried about how you're going to share data, then we recommend that we get involved. We run a 4-hour session on the administration and setting up. And during that 4 hours, we would end up configuring your system for you. So that might be something you want to look at. Talk to your salesperson about what that would look like for you. So basically, recommend 4 hours getting the system set up and configured following industry best practices, and then maybe a couple of hours to handhold the end users.
Okay, we do have another question. If someone wanted to explain what Autodesk Docs is in one sentence, how would you summarize that?
It's a cloud-based document management system, and I hope I don't have to define all of those words, but I think they all have lots of connotation. Cloud-based document management system that controls the information for a project, whether the project is a construction project or a manufacturing project, so that multiple people can access it, share the data, and collaborate for the success of the project. How's that for off the top of my head?
Perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. We do have another question, I guess, to clarify if this was the desktop version or if this was not, is there a desktop version for Autodesk Docs?
Okay, so what you saw today was running on my desktop laptop. It's not a particularly high-end machine, but it's got a decent graphics card in it. I could be running it on a tablet, and you'd see pretty much the same kind of performance. So obviously, if I'm showing it on a desktop, there is a desktop version available.
Okay, and will it show the same folder structure no matter how you're viewing it?
There will be minor differences in the user interface between the tablet version and the workstation version, primarily because of screen size, but the interaction and the functionality is exactly the same.
Okay, perfect. Let's see if we have any other questions here. I do have one. Is there a limit on cloud storage?
You know, I've scratched my head on that also, and I'm saying, you know, that there's got to be a cost to storing data in the cloud. Well, there isn't. Autodesk is saying you can put as much data out there as you want. There's no limit on cloud storage, and they've been doing this since 2014. So I guess they found a magic way to provide all that storage space, because they have not ever limited the amount of storage you can put up in the cloud. So there's no limit. Put all the projects you want up there.
Awesome. All right, so I don't see any other questions coming through right now, but if you guys do think of anything later on, feel free to reach out to us and we can help you out. We do plan on having the recording of this up on YouTube later today, so you can definitely look out for that. But I think those are all the questions that we have.
Okay.
Don't see anything coming in, so I'll send this back over to you, Phil.
All right, thank you. So thank you everyone for taking the time to attending today's webinar. I hope you found it useful. We'll be extending this series of cloud product and services webinars and adding new information. Our next webinar is going to be April 14th, when we talk about productivity and using the Civil 3D tool. And then we'll present the powerful Enscape plugin to Revit on April 16th. That's going to be a cool presentation. Don't miss it. Keep visiting MicroCAD.com as we add more webinars. And if you want more information, feel free to contact me directly or any of the MicroCAD offices. Thank you again for your time. And this ends the webinar.